What's up? I'm your boy Zero Brew coming back at you with another video. By the way, I just recorded about 15 minutes worth of video prior to this point on the screen, and I was muted the whole time. So don't you... So all that video and the pace and what I was doing and everything I was showing on the screen is now poop. So what I wanted to do was talk about Chimera and the changes that just recently happened in the game. I had a lot of trouble last week and was dying a lot. I spent 3 or 4 hours on that. Also, someone made a comment about some of their teams in my last video, which is about gear and gearing out your champions more from a beginner perspective, like what it all means, and raised a good point that I want to mention on this video as well. But we're going to do it in reverse order because I'm about halfway through what I was trying to record for Chimera, and also I have no clue what's going on in my hair. Enjoy all that. So let's get into it. Woo!
Real quick, click the link in my description to get a free Karato as well as Annex, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Player and Play on a PC and uninstall. Click the link in my description and register with a brand new email. Launch raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champion. Get an awesome start in Raid Shadow Legends with your free Karate Fox Hunter as well as 3 epic champions. Hit the link below and claim them today. I'll see you in the game. Woo!
All right, so that video format while I was muted was talking about the gear for the first 5 minutes and then moving on to the Chimera for the last 10 minutes or so. But now we're gonna do it in reverse order. So in case y'all didn't realize, there was a change with the Chimera. They supposedly made the ram form less hard when there are fears on this form, right? And we have Lydia, we have the ability. Yeah, if you put fear or true fear out on the Chimera, it supposedly will reflect less damage out on them. My team doesn't make a difference hardly at all on the fights for me personally. Again, with the big max HP hitters that we're using, that's what's going on. And then the lion form now hits harder, but I will say too, the ultimate form, I feel like when some of these forms are changing out, this ultimate form hits really hard as well. Now, for me on myself this week, this is a different rotation than last week, and I do know that it might have been last week's rotation, might have been a harder for the team that I had, but I swapped out G-Nut for Marius last week, and it was I don't know, 3 or 4 hours worth of trying the Chimera to get it to work right and be able to get the max chest out of 1 key. So that was very frustrating. And I'll just say, let's talk about in general, right? So Plarium, when they released some of this content, and the most recently, the Corrosa event, we've got Faction Wars Hard that has not been touched yet, which is extremely overtuned, way overtuned, and absolutely needs to be nerfed. Now, what do you expect Plarium to do? Again, we talked about this in the past where they really do need to set the bar high and be able to pull it back. You'll have less of the community complain about that. So I don't, from a development perspective, I don't blame Plarium on that at all. The worst thing you do is put out the new content is way too easy and everybody does it like this, right? And or you say, oh, it's way too easy, we need to make it harder, and you raise the bar. People are going to be way more upset, especially if they are early to mid game players that could do something easily and then it gets taken away from them and made harder. So I get it. You want to make the bar high and then you adjust it and pull it back. I think the frustrating part of that for this, when you have super geniuses like Bronco Raids, so shout out to Bronco, he comes up with, he spends a poop ton of time and comes up with really good comps. More famously, the Corrosa comp, he came up with the Vogoth. And okay, so we're in ram form here. Sorry to get distracted, but let's see. Yeah, so Acrizia kills herself. Again, we don't have the fears out, and maybe I need to adjust my mechanics to land the fear, but he's hitting hard. Look, Lydia is almost dead. He's getting hit really hard. And by the way, I do have Elva. I did get the 3-star sulfur. I never had it before. So she's over 4,000 defense just with the stat bloat that came out of the blessing. Also, Chris will sometimes get killed. He got killed earlier in this video, and I mentioned that when I was on mute. Maybe I'll send that video to the editor and he can pluck that out and insert it here. Going back to what I was saying with Bronco and the Corrosa event, right? So he came up with this awesome thing, and Plarium, did identify that the boss is way too overtuned, and they did peel it back for the most of the community. I think the frustrating part with that is you spend all your resources and energy, and to get the golden elixirs or whatever that you had to put on Vogoth and G-Nut to keep them alive, you had to dump a ton of relic resources into them just to get them up to like level 4. And I ate a whole bunch of relics and put a bunch of resources, and then they go and change it. And that's just one example, right? It could be a champion, putting books into a specific champion. You know, obviously gearing out a certain champion to do certain things. And there's all kinds of investment you put into these champions to be able to put out and deal with the content that's there. Then they go and they change it, and it can completely mess up your comps. Now, I will give Plarium credit. They did this also with Sand Devils, Iron Twins, and Shogun's Grove. And they said, we're going to attempt to make it where the other teams can still get it done. So for example, my Blizzard comp, I just solo with Blizzard with a 5-star blessing, no books into him, a certain speed tune with regeneration at a certain rate. He can just solo Sand Devils with 4 food champions and level them up. Now, when they did nerf it, it did slow down my comp. So I went from about 2.5 minutes to sometimes 3, 4, 5 minutes. So that kind of sucked for my team. Yeah, look at Chris. Chris is about to die here. And I think is this the lion form? Yeah, we're in the lion form. So we are getting heals, but Chris never died before. Again, I don't know what I'm attempting to say here is it's okay for Plarium to adjust it, but I just really wish too that they understand, like with a change like Chimera, you really didn't open this up to more champions. I mean, the mechanics are basically the same, but you nerfed the ones that could do this well, essentially. And that's really my complaint. Yeah, Chris down, right? Chris down, and he's not supposed to go down, but he's down now. If my Elva dies, this whole run and this whole fight is over and we got to redo it again. I don't know what I'm trying to say with this. I just wanted to kind of make a video to kind of address my grievances. Again, it took me 4 or 5 hours. And that's the other thing is people that follow my journey. I just had my 4th interview for this job, and I'm probably going to get the job, cross fingers. If not, I'm going to be very sad. But, you know, if I get this job, my working dynamics are just going to completely change. And I'm going to have less time for Raid Shadow Legends is what it is. And I'm putting out videos and all kinds of stuff on this. Yeah, we're about to die. Look at this. Ridiculous. And thank God I have the extra 600 defense on the Elva, because she is the linchpin. If she goes down, we're all dead. Yeah. Lion is just going off now. You know, it is what it is. But my thing is, it didn't change the ram form at all. I don't know. When it goes to ram form, it gets ridiculous. Yeah, look. And when it changes out that form and goes to this form, I feel like he hits even harder. Look, Elva is holding on by a thread. Elva down, fight's over. Fight's over. Yeah, so I guess I got what I wanted on this video in terms of previous comps essentially getting nerfs. I had no problems with this comp before. Elva didn't die, and between last week and this week, Elva's dying a lot faster. And we got the, like I said, I'm gonna end the battle just to see where our stats were. And Elva has an extra 600 defense. This rotation has still got dropped. It's frustrating, especially when you spend all the resources and have to basically go back to the drawing board once you have unlocked the ability to do the different thing. And honestly, we don't have time. I don't have time. Plarium, please look at your time thing. Now, I want to address the other thing with the gear, and then I'll probably just end this video and I'm just gonna do a free regroup here. So in my last video, I did one on like more of a beginner. I had these champions. How do I build them out? Kind of what's going on. So, you know, if that interests you, please go back and watch that one. But someone made a comment and was talking about specific teams, and I tried to help in the comments, but I just want to quickly address this, which I think is also good for beginner champions. So in that video, we talked about different champions and like a support champion, HP, defense, attack-based champion, and kind of what gear you're kind of looking for that. But I did mention in that video that each champion is unique when it comes to what they specifically need. I think he mentioned Mithrala and Pythion specifically on those teams. And I will say, yeah, that's when you have to get into the details. I'm going to pull the stats on my Pythion. So 100,000 HP, 4,400 on the defense. We already talked about the diminishing returns after 4,000, 310 on the speed, and then 420 on the resistance for Pythion here. But also on this, have a protection set, so I get that 25% chance to do on his A2. He gets the block debuff, so we have a chance to have that come through as protected. Also, you, by the way, at 2 pieces, you get the extra 15% HP, and then also the bolster set. So one thing I didn't mention in that video, but items like bolster set is based on the champion's HP. So this 30% HP ally shield is based on his HP, and then the heals are also based on his HP. So with the 100,000 HP, that's going to be a 30,000 shield for your team. And then every turn, he's going to get a 10,000 heal based on kind of what bolster provides for that, right? And then, oh yeah, one piece stone skin for the HP. That, and then you also have to look at your specific champion. So if you look at his A1, his A2 is the healing that's based on this is based on the champion that's getting healed. They're at max HP. So if it's a glass cannon nuker, they're not getting a super big heal, but it does provide a heal to them. But on his A1, if you read it, attacks the enemy 2 times, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of this champion's max HP for each hit. So again, 100,000 HP, you want to max out his HP so that you're getting the most bang for your buck out of this heal. Same thing, I'll just say for Mithrala, and I did mention this in the comments too, but Mithrala, if you look at her, so here's her total stats again, you want her to also be tanky, 4,000 plus defense, HP. Now you can build her with crit rate and crit damage because she can put out a little bit of damage and whatnot, but super fast. And then we got accuracy and resistance. Now when you read her kit, it specifically says that her accuracy gets converted into resistance. So you do want to have a lot of accuracy on her, plus that'll help her land her debuffs. Feel free if you can get more resistance out to kind of get that in there too. And what do I mean by that? So if you look at her passive at the very end, it says also increases champion's resistance by the amount by which it is increased equal to the amount of this champion's accuracy, right? So it doesn't show you in the total stats, but if you take the 675 and you add it to the 329, that's 1004. So in reality, when this champion's fighting, it has 1004 resistance, right? So those are just types of things, just kind of like that advanced quest to kind of advanced gearing option, identify champions that are support champions, but they also bring something to the table. So you kind of have to really understand their kit to basically bring what they need to the fight, right? And again, like I said on Python, we got the bolster set. It's also dependent, that healing on the bolster set and the shield on the bolster set, depending on his HP. So that's just a good little tip to remember. So in my previous video, I did do a couple fights in arena, so I might as well do that too. The one where I was muted. But yeah, so you notice the shield that comes off the bolster. Now it is a 30,000 shield across the board, but because Marius has less HP, it looks like a bigger shield. But that's just based on his HP, the visual representation there. We'll go ahead and pop off this item too, so you'll notice the heals that'll happen too. And it's again based on their HP. So Python got a 13,000 heal. Marius got a 7,000 heal on that. We might just straight up kill their team. Nope, we didn't. Okay, good. That's good. Put some fears out. Okay, cool. And then we're going to swap forms and we're going to smack you down like that. All right. So we won the fight. But anyway, if I'd gotten the chance to do the A1 with Python, you can see the healing kind of go off there. So that's something else to consider when gearing your champions. All right, so I didn't want to make this super long and kind of want to address something from the last video. It's cool that they are adjusting things. And again, we talked about them setting the bar high, and peeling it back is a lot better for the community than saying, oh, this is way too easy of a content and we need to make it harder. I just find it a little bit frustrating when you build out these teams, you spend all the resources that inadvertently you just get your teams nerfed. Hey, Zero Brew, spend another 5 hours and build a better team now. But I will say I'm a little bit partial to this team because Kodos built it for me before he passed away, right? So that's, maybe that's just the sentimental Zero Brew on this, but it is what it is. Supposedly they made it better, but I don't know if it is better. If anything, it's a little bit harder, in my opinion. So I may have to go back to the drawing board on this. We shall see. Before I go, we are going to go for the Dooflicky. In fact, I know what you're saying. Who is Dooflicky? I'm going to show you. Sunday night, I'm going to pull some shards, so make sure you're on Twitch or YouTube Sunday for the fun day. By the way, we are right there at 60,000. I'm going to run ice golems. I have burned through a poop ton of gems. I would say 10,000 gems to get me there. I've only pulled like 6 voids over the last couple of days for my dailies, but we will probably pull some shards because I think if I'm going to go for this guy, I'm probably going to go for the Soul 2 and watch them do something terrible in a week or two. Oh, you got to go for this champion, and I'm not going to have the resources to go for that champion because I went for this champion. But I'm a little bit partial to poisons, and that's a whole thing. So I'll let you next time. If you want to check out the shard pools, we'll do that Sunday. Much love. Holla at you later. Zero Brew out. Woo!